Thank you for being here. Welcome to Rocket Fuel Metabolism. My name is Chris Hauk. I am a chiropractor. My office is Chiropractic Solutions in Framingham, Mass. We've actually won the Reader's Choice Award past 9 years in a row, so we're really excited about that. Before I was a chiropractor, I was an exercise physiologist. Actually got my start down the road at the Natick Army Labs conducting research. I made my transition to personal training once I figured out that I'm more of a people person and you really can't talk to test subjects. So while I was a personal trainer, I actually met my first chiropractor. I was actually on my way to med school and I spent some time with a chiropractor, and I realized that I really wanted to spend my life promoting health and wellness, not necessarily treating sickness and disease. And the best way of doing that was to become a chiropractor. So much to my dismay of my mother, I ended up going to chiropractic school instead of med school, and man, loved being a chiropractor. We got a family practice. My youngest patient's a couple of months old. My oldest is 98, and we have lots of fun. So, has anyone ever been to this gym before? What's wrong with this picture? Right? It's open 24 hours though, right? But it's interesting. These are the same people that will say, well, exercise didn't work for me. Well, the problem really is they didn't really work while they were exercising, right? Not the problem here, though. Yeah, you've seen these screens before, right? So as someone that is an athlete, I can definitely tell you, this is fun, right? I mean, to have real-time feedback so that you can find your fourth and your fifth gear, I mean, it's just a lot of fun. In a traditional workout, the reality is you very often don't even get out of your third gear and don't even know that you have a fourth or a fifth gear. As an exercise physiologist and a chiropractor, I got to tell you, the science behind the Orange Theory is fantastic. And that's really what drew me to Jason and said, well, yeah, this really works. This is pretty awesome. Where has this been? We've been waiting for this, right? So the problem with the traditional workout and, dare I say, Orange Theory are the same. And it's not necessarily the workout, it's really what you do when you leave these doors, right? The reality is you can work hard in here, but if you're making poor lifestyle choices when you leave, you can totally sabotage your workout. So what I want to do is just talk to you a little bit about how to make better healthcare choices when you leave this office, when you leave this gym, so that you can maximize your results and get more juice out of your Orange Theory, so to speak, right? So, the quality of your life does depend on the quality of the questions that you ask. Is there a difference between being healthy and not sick? Like, for instance, would you rather be beautiful or just not ugly? Right? We all would rather be beautiful, right? And the same thing is true with your health. But this is what I learned in research, is you do your study, you get your results, and then once you get your results, you take this group here in the middle, your average performers, and that's what shapes your recommendations. Our recommendations as healthcare provider shapes your choices that you make when you leave this office or this gym, and then those are what really dictates your outcomes, right? So we got poor recommendations, poor choices, poor outcomes, right? So here's the challenge with this. Has anyone ever heard of DALY? You will. Unfortunately, you will. DALY is an acronym. Typically, acronyms are not good, right? If you have an acronym, I can't think of a good one, right? But DALY is a big acronym for Disability Adjusted Life Years. It's basically the expectation that you're born healthy, you have a healthy life until you get sick, and then you die sick. What a horrible expectation that is. I mean, is that okay with you guys? It's like, yeah, I'm gonna die sick in the nursing home. Sign me up for that, right? Horrible, right? So here's what we got to do. If you want to be successful, what do? You study successful people, right? So that's what we're going to do tonight. Instead of asking the question, what does it take to just not be sick? We're going to answer the question, what does it take to be at your best? And to answer that question, you've got to look at a completely different set of data. We want to look at our outliers. We want to look at our high performers, right? So that's where we're pulling our information from tonight. So here's a perfect example. If you want to be in optimal health, how many hours of sleep do you need? 8 or more. If you just want to not be sick, it's 6.5. You see the difference? So that's where we're going to spend tonight. Yeah. Life expectancy would grow by leaps and bounds if vegetables smelled like bacon, right? So my first personal training client was when I was 18 years old. I'm 38, right? And this is what I can tell you from a long time of working with people. Willpower, it doesn't work, right? There's this great book that I recommend for all my patients that have anxiety in our office called The Happiness Advantage. Really dives deep into positive psychology. And there's all sorts of studies that show that, hey, you know what? If you know, like for me, it's Oreo cookies. I love Oreo cookies, right? And if I think I'm gonna have enough willpower to not eat Oreo cookies, if I'm surrounded with them, it's just not gonna happen. So what we need are not more willpower, we need better strategies. So, is it just me, or does everyone take this path when they go to the grocery store, right? So basically, grocery stores, food manufacturers know that you're gonna walk into the grocery store, ooh, are those muffins? Right? Ooh, it's the bakery section's the first thing that you'll see when you walk in, right? That gets the saliva going, right? Grocery stores and food manufacturers know of a concept called herding, right? Are you like me? Do you go up and down the aisles from right to left in a very predictable fashion? I spent a lot of time just following people around grocery stores. I've tested this. No, just joking. That's really creepy. He did say I was a freak, but no, we're not like that, right? They also know that you're going to want to buy the things that are eye level, or worse yet, in the cereal aisle, it's at the kids' eye level, isn't it? Right? So here's the deal. You go through the grocery store like this, and you get to the checkout aisle, and this is what your grocery cart looks like. 63% of the calories we consume as a nation are processed, refined carbohydrates. These are things that are in boxes, in packages, in wrappers, right? We're all moving at the speed of life, aren't we? And life is not easy. So we've got to do things on the fly. So we do things that we need to do to just get through the day, right? Like it's cold, it's rainy, right? There's a $6 Camilla pie 3, 4, 5 steps away. That would make my life a whole lot easier, right? But would it help your results, your metabolism? Absolutely not. So things that are processed or refined comes in boxes, comes in wrappers, comes in packages. Why are they in packages? Because they're dead. If you want to create life from the foods that you eat, why would you want to consume something dead? Right? So what you need to really be focusing on are consuming whole foods. Things that come in their own nature's wrapper, like an apple, a banana, pineapple, right? Peppers. Things that come in their own wrapper. That's what you're looking for, right? Things that, whole foods, they stimulate what we call your satiety cascade. It's basically your body and your brain's biochemistry that says, I've had enough nutrients. I'm actually feeling fantastic. I can stop eating now, right? Meanwhile, if you spend your time getting your food out of packages, out of wrappers, that's going to stimulate your pleasure pathway. In the same way that a drug addict, when they have drug, their pleasure pathways fire up. Does it make sense that if you're eating processed foods, they work the same way? Because we all want to feel good, right? And sometimes the feel good button is just a pizza box away or just a cracker box away, right? But what you really need to understand is when you're eating those refined carbs, those quick carbs, spiking your insulin, right? Insulin does many, many things. But for the purpose of tonight, when I say insulin, you think fat storage hormone. Ready? Let's try it. Insulin. Yes, at 8:20 at night. Good, nice, good workouts, guy, right? So, here's the thing. If you bust your button here, but you go outside of these doors and you spike your insulin, you're just going to sabotage yourself. Is anyone else confused about carbohydrates? Good carbohydrates, bad carbohydrates? Wouldn't it be nice if there was a tool that you could use at home that could tell you whether something was a good carbohydrate or a bad carbohydrate? Anyone? Yeah. Well, good news, there is. It's something called the glycemic index or the glycemic load. The problem is we just don't use it. We have this great tool, but we just don't use it. So, what glycemic index, or a better measure glycemic load, but you're just not going to find as much information on that, is basically going to measure what happens when you eat a carb or eat food, what's going to happen to your blood sugar, and hence your insulin levels. So something that is a low glycemic index, say 55, you want to eat those all the time. You want to live on those. Things that are 56 to say 70, medium glycemic index. Those are things you want to eat sparingly. And then, of course, there's the high glycemic carbohydrates. You don't want to eat those at all. You really want to avoid those, right? Things that you got to understand is if you have a healthy carb, that's this yellow line. You eat some food, your body breaks it down, blood sugar goes up, energy is available to your system, so your body releases this thing called insulin, and that puts energy into the cell. Everyone happy? It's good, right? But when you have a refined carbohydrate, 3 things are going to happen to your blood sugar. 1, see how the blood sugar goes up and crashes rapidly? It's a spike, right? That really results in something called glycation, which is really the biochemical basis of inflammation. Inflammation makes you achy, makes you sore, and ruins your metabolism. Compared to the yellow line, there's a lot more red line, isn't there? There's a tremendous amount of insulin on the red line. So that's what gives you diabetes. That's what puts your body into fat storage mode. And then here's the crash, right? Who likes Chinese food? I won't tell anybody, right? You ever have Chinese food and you're like, oh, that was awesome. I gotta push, someone drag me away from the table. And then like 20 minutes later, you're like, where are those leftovers, right? That's the blood sugar crash from a refined carbohydrate. So things that you probably want to know. Walnuts, salmon, hummus. Those are very low glycemic. Why? Anyone have a guess? Oils? Okay, we'll get back to that one, right? But in other words, if 0 is 6 is good, right? Then there's the things you know about, like black beans, apples, carrots, oatmeal. All of those things are those low glycemic, healthy carbohydrates, right? No surprise there. Table sugar's the devil, 59. Coke, we all know Coca-Cola is not so good. But pita bread. Pita bread? Wait a second, isn't that a healthy option? Instead of having a big old, fluffy bun, I'm going to have a pita bread? My bagel? My bagel's on there? Right? And then we got the bread question. Wonder bread, right? White bread is horrible. It's 73. Whole wheat bread, it's 71. Yay, 2 points! Pfft. Right? And then we have this massive range, 51 to 72. That's the whole grain bread. We're going to get into that in a second. There's good whole grains, and then there's whole grains that really aren't whole grains. Sabrina, check this out. Rice cakes. Was it good? It was but she's smart. She put peanut butter on it. Peanut butter's protein, so that's going to stabilize her blood sugar. Nice work, Sabrina. Pretzels. These are things that we want to avoid. Then there's the things you don't think about. So right now, if you think about what you eat, there's probably about 5 to 10 foods that you eat regularly, right? There's this thing called the Google, and you can go to the Google, and you can put these foods in there, and it can tell you exactly what your glycemic index is. Like, for example, carrots, 32, good, yep. Cheerios, 74. Moms, what's the first thing we give our little ones when they start eating solid food? Cheerios, right? We're getting our kids on that insulin train really early. High insulin, low insulin, high insulin, low insulin. That results in something called insulin resistance, and that is not good because that leads to chronic disease. What about that whole grain thing? Well, guess what? A food manufacturer can use the term whole grain no matter how much whole grain product it contains, right? So you know that really expensive piece of bread that's got the little oatmeal flakes on the outside? It's like $3 more because it's got the oatmeal flakes. It's really whole wheat, but with oatmeal flakes, so it's whole grain. So you really got to check the labels. Whole grain flour, 100% whole grain. That's what you want to look for. If it's not in those first 3 ingredients, it ain't whole grain. Made with wheat flour, multigrain, enriched, stone ground. Those are all things that aren't really whole grain. They're kind of whole grain. Right? And where did that range? 51 to 72. Big ranges in our whole grain products. Right? Cheerios is whole grain. Right? So don't always read the front, but read the back. Right? The back's more important than the front. And we're going to take a new path, right? So if you want better results, you need better strategies. So first things first, we're going to make it harder to succumb to the old bad habit. So we're going to go around the edges first. We're going to get our poultry, our fruits, our veggies, meats, right? We're going to go around. Second thing we're going to do is we're going to put the new habit in the path of least resistance, right? So in other words, use your lists, right? Do list, but also the do not list. You know where that Oreo cookie lives. Don't go down that aisle. You can't say no to that Oreo cookie. And the third thing, the battle is won and lost at the checkout counter, right? I've never thrown an Oreo cookie away because it went stale, right? If it's in the house, it's down the hatch. It's like I'm a seagull. I can't contain myself, right? We all have our Oreo cookies, so to speak. So remember, that battle is won and lost at the checkout counter. Yeah, I don't always work out, but when I do, I expect immediate spectacular results. Don't we all? But here's the thing. I worked out here first on Friday. I was sort of like, now, still sore, right? Don't do this. In other words, you're burning a tremendous amount of calories during an Orange Theory workout. But studies show that people that burn a lot of calories, they go, oh, I'm going to give myself a little treat. Yeah, I can do it. I burnt 600 calories today, right? But don't do it. It's going to spike your insulin and lock your hormones into fat storage mode, right? Protein, protein, protein. Remember when we went to that glycemic index slide, right? Walnuts and salmon are protein, right? So why do you want protein? You want protein for two reasons. One, it's not going to stimulate your insulin, right? So that's a good thing to not be in fat storage mode. Big fan. And two, it's going to stimulate growth hormone. Growth hormone is essential for muscle repair, muscle regeneration, healing just in general. And then third thing, protein provides amino acids for muscle development. All good stuff. I get this question, how much protein? Well, if you wanted to be really quick answer would be at least a half a gram of protein per body weight, per pound of body weight. Can you have more than that? Yeah. But be careful with that. That's more of a discussion with your healthcare provider, right? But at least a half a gram per pound of body weight. Did you know that people that consume 30% of their calories from protein, on average, eat about 450 less calories a day? Why? Because protein satisfies you. It stays with you. It keeps you off the insulin train, right? That insulin train goes up and down and makes you hungry. So stay off that train. Here's the big one. Who had a pre-workout snack? What was it? Zone protein bar. Okay. Someone else give me a better example. Who else had a protein? Anyone have a banana? Someone lie to me and tell you had a banana, right? All right. So Jason, you had a banana, right? So in other words, the last thing you want to do before workout, even though a banana is fairly low glycemic, it's actually medium glycemic, you don't want to spike your insulin before your workout. You do want some protein because studies show that if you have protein before your workout, your metabolism is going to be increased for a longer period of time. Most important, though, is especially in a workout like this, which is high intensity and wants to create muscle mass development, it's critical that you get protein within 2 hours after your workout. 2 hours. You have this window. 2 hours after your workout, if you have protein, your body's going into muscle regeneration mode. So get that protein 2 hours after your workout. But where do you get it from? Protein shakes? Zone Power Bar? Or from things like quinoa, lentils, seeds, nuts. I'll tell you, the best before or after workout snack are nuts and seeds, almonds, walnuts, pistachios. They also have good fats in them, like omega-3 fatty acids, which are important for the healing pathways, right? Hummus, avocados, broccoli. In other words, we think that you can only get protein in meat form. Steak, right? No, you get plenty of protein in things like kale, spinach, peas, sweet potatoes. And of course, don't forget your lean proteins, your lean meats, your fishes, things of that nature. Right? So don't forget about your veggies. Any questions on protein? Eggs are fantastic. Right? Remember when eggs were bad for like a short period of time? Well, guess what? They're good again. So eggs are great. Where do you find eggs? In the middle of the aisles or on the periphery? That's where the good stuff lives. Sleep. Oh, sleep sounds so good, right? So here's the thing you need to understand. The same hormones that regulate your sleep are the same hormones that regulate your metabolism. So if your sleep goes sideways, the hormones that regulate your metabolism aren't going to work right. The hormone that makes you more hungry, you're going to increase that. The hormone that makes you less full, leptin, is going to decrease it, right? So that's why, remember college when you had those like long nights of studying, right? And then you got done, and it was like pizza, right? Your body craves junk when you're sleep deprived. Also, the reason you need to get some sleep is because that's when your body releases growth hormone. Human growth hormones build muscle. Only time your body really releases growth hormone is after an intense workout or when you're sleeping, right? So, here's what you need to understand about sleep. Who's stressed out? Anyone else? Is anyone stressed out? You guys look pretty calm, right? But stress is part of life, right? Is your stress level this year worse than it was last year? Probably, right? Is it going to get better? Probably not. It's part of life. We've got to deal with it, right? But understand there's this thing called cortisol. It's a stress hormone, right? But it does other things. Like, for instance, cortisol should naturally go up and down throughout the day. Like, did you know that when you wake up in the morning, you should actually be energized, right? Because 6 o'clock, where is it? 6 a.m., your cortisol levels are high, right? And as you go through the day, your cortisol levels should go lower so you can get some sleep. But then we have life. We have family, we have work, we have life. All those things increase our cortisol. Light exposure increases cortisol, right? In other words, there is a primal relationship between light, time of the day, and hormone production. As your cortisol levels go down, your melatonin levels should come up so that you can find deep sleep. But what happens if you're on the Facebook, looking at that light screen? What's your cortisol levels doing, right? What happens if you're running after your kid and your kid's like, he was supposed to go to bed like a half hour ago, but he's still like playing hide and seek, stressed out, right? You got to get to bed, Johnny, right? So here's what you got to do to lower your cortisol, increase your melatonin, and get to sleep. You got to eat fast, at least 30 minutes to at least an hour before bedtime. Nothing good happens on Facebook after 9 o'clock. Nothing good, right? So put it away. Avoid those carbohydrates before bedtime, right? Here's a big one. If you're one of those people that are always up at that 3 o'clock hour, right? It's like, why 3? Why always 3, right? Typically, it's because you're having a heavy carbohydrate load, right? Your insulin level goes up, and that's the crash. The crash is at 3 o'clock in the morning. Your body's like, what the heck, right? So avoid those carbohydrates. Your sleeping environment's critical. It should be cool, it should be comfortable, no warmer than 70 degrees, and it should be dark. You should call your bedroom the toe stubbing zone, right? It should be dark in that place. If you got one of those obnoxious alarm clocks, right, that's going to disrupt your sleep. If you're one that has a spouse or you like to watch TV while you go to bed, that's going to disrupt your sleep. All those things will disrupt your sleep. So keep it dark. Blackout shades are great. Sleeping posture. Sleeping posture is a big deal. Oh, stomach sleepers? Okay, right? All right, so here's the deal. You can sleep on your side. You can sleep on your back. You just can't sleep on your stomach. Why? Because, well, if I had a spine on my hand, I would tell you. But basically, this is a normal vertebra, a lumbar vertebra. Oh, there it is. Spiny. All right, so most of the vertebrae in your body, see how they're nice and flat? But see how the ones in the neck have this extra joint on the side? It's called your joints of Luschka or your uncovertebral joints. Put that on Scrabble. No one's going to question your spelling. Big points. So here's the deal. When you sleep on your stomach, you've got to turn and rotate your head. And what that's going to do to those joints is it's going to compress them. So people that sleep on their stomachs typically have more headaches. They always have more tingling in the hands. They always have shoulder issues, right? Here's my proof. Everyone turn to your right and look at Peter. I'll see you in 8 hours. Do you think that would make a difference, right? So again, you can sleep on your back, you can sleep on your slide, just don't sleep on the stomach. The other thing is you have this thing called the vertebral artery, all right? It goes to your brain, kind of important. What do you think happens to the blood flow to your brain when you turn your head to the side for 8 hours? So again, that's why people that sleep on their stomach have more headaches. Stomach sleepers, did I describe you? Headaches, neck, shoulder, tingling in the hands, especially when you wake up, pretty common. 8 hours minimum. It's that classic example. How much sleep do I need to be healthy versus how much sleep do I need to just not be sick? You need 8 hours minimum. Not negotiable. I love talking to my patients, but well, doc, you know. And it's like, no. Tissues don't negotiate. Hormones don't negotiate. The body doesn't negotiate. You either give it what it needs or it's going to take what it wants. This is how it works. Questions on sleep. Sleep tight tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, he left. You guys, oh, there he is. All right. So, sitting is the new smoking. Has anyone else heard this before? Right? So, raise your hand if you sit at least 6 hours a day. If we look at your commuting, looking at your office work, pretty much all of you, right? Right? So, sitting is the new smoking. And here's the deal. There was this great study came out last year, Annals of Internal Medicine. It was basically a review of 47 different studies. And basically they said that, hey, guess what? If you sit all day, your increased rates of cancer, heart disease, diabetes, it's going to shorten your lifespan. And guess what? Those things happen even if you exercise. Wait, what? What? Yeah, that's right. So in other words, a portion of these 47 studies looked at, well, what if I exercise an hour 3 times a week? Well, guess what? The fact that is exercising 3 times a week a good thing? Yeah, it's a great thing. But it's, in other words, would that make up for the fact if you were a smoker? No, I smoke cigarettes, but I work out. Same deal. The latest research is in. The body is not designed to sit at a desk all day and sniff screens. It's just not supposed to happen that way, right? We've literally engineered movement out of our lives. So, this is what you need to understand. Your body, your brain, and your joints need movement. So, this right here is a picture of a joint. All right. Has anyone ever cooked like a whole chicken? Right. You see the bones, right? The ends of the bones are shiny, they're glistening. That's cartilage, right? So the joints come together, right? And they should be smooth. All right. But what happens is the joints need movement. And what do you think happens to those joints if you're sitting all day in front of a screen? Right? It's going to cause them to break down. I want to talk about 2 things: structure and function. I have 2 balls. One is round and one is not so round, right? Which one's going to roll better? Right? Because structure and function are intimately connected, right? So, when your joints start to break down, what's that going to do to your workout? Right? Understand that you have a physiological capacity, right? Or functional capacity. And when you put that heart rate monitor, you are measuring your functional capacity. And that is fantastic. But what if your structural capacity isn't strong enough to support that? Guys, what system in your body controls every other function in your body? Is it your digestive system that runs your body? Is it your cardiovascular system? I forget. Someone help me out. What is the system that? The nerve system, right. Yeah, so this is why, as a chiropractor, I want you to at least think about your spine for the next 3, 4, 5 minutes, right? So here's a picture of your spine, right? These are the vertebrae in your spine. These are the discs or the cushions between those. And this thing that runs your body, called the nervous system, that controls every function in your body, comes out there and it branches out these tiny little holes. That's what runs your body, that's what heals your body, that's what keeps you healthy, right? But what happens is when we spend all day sitting to the spine's like sugar to the teeth, right? So these vertebrae start to break down, and what's that going to do to the messages that they carry? Going to interfere with that, right? In other words, do you think this body is functioning better with a nervous system that looks like this or a nervous system that looks like that? No doubt. So this is how this process happens over time. Here's a picture of someone's neck. Nice, smooth, healthy neck curve. Smooth bones, healthy discs. But the traumas, the habits, all the things that we do throughout life can cause those vertebrae to break down. I don't want you thinking about your bones right now. I want you to think about that computer that lives back here. How's that going to impact that? You live your life through your spine. You live your life through your nervous system. So as the spine breaks down, what's that doing to your quality of life? What's that doing to your workout? What's that doing to your metabolism? Who wants to live like this when you have the choice to live like that? Right? But what do? What's our go-to move? That hurts. Does it hurt? Yeah, you better believe it hurts. What do? Right? And this is going to be a little strange to everybody, right? But we typically take anti-inflammatories, right? Right? My mom, I grew up in a house, my mom was a pharmacy tech, right? There was a lotion, a potion, a pill for everything, right? But what I want you to understand is you guys are being pushed hard, and if you stick with it, this is going to work. But I don't want you ignoring your body's signals. When you got those aches, those pains, that shoulder, that knee, that hip, don't ignore it. That pain's to tell you, hey, there's something going on here. You should look at it right here, right? But all too often, we just numb it. We numb it with NSAIDs. But there's some limited research that shows that that really is not in our best interest. There's an abundance of research that shows that that's really not good for our stomach. And let's just look at this for 1 second. Are you healthier if your medicine cabinet is empty or full? You're healthier if your medicine cabinet is typically emptier, right? So why would we want to interfere with the body's intelligence? So here's some research. Basically, NSAIDs have been a mainstream treatment for ligament injuries for many years. In the case of acute sports injuries, new research has shown that these things, they kind of work, and they could be really not so good for the healing process. It goes even further. We look at COX-2 inhibitors. Research has concluded the use of these medications inhibits ligament healing, right? So that's the process of getting stronger. Break it, build it up stronger, better, right? That's how we get better results faster. We break it, we rebuild it, right? So here's the thing. We no longer recommend these not only for acute injuries, but for chronic injuries, right? Wouldn't that be nice if there was something you could do instead of dulling the pain, ignoring the pain, right? So actually, here's a picture of someone named Phyllis. She had horrible headaches, she had Botox injections, she had trigger point injections. Like, hi, sign me up for this needle that I go into my head, right? When she first started her care, this was her neck curve. This should be a nice, smooth 30-degree curve. Hers was 16. A couple months later, 22 degrees. Can you see how those discs are healthier? What do you think her quality of life is like? Do you think she needs injections in her head anymore? Absolutely not. There's a handsome young man right over there named Peter. Peter came in, not looking so good, right? A couple years later, hey, beautiful healthy curve. Beautiful healthy discs, all right? Who sees a chiropractor, right? Who thinks about their spine at all, right? So you know what? Yeah, you all need a chiropractor, but at the very least, I want you at least thinking about your spine after today, right? Raise your hand if you want to be 94. We all want to be 94. But if you look like this, who wants to be 94? Right? So here's the deal. If you knew that you were going to live to 94, when would be the time to start making better choices once you leave the gym? Next week? Next month? Come on, someone say it.
Last week.
Now. Now's that time. That's right, so now's that time. Now's that time to start using that glycemic index. Now's that time to start Googling the 10 foods that you eat most often. Now's the time to make sure that you get some protein 2 hours after your workout, maybe before. Get it from vegetable sources, right? Now's the time to do all of those things. Now's the time to start valuing your sleep, right? So, there are two groups of people right now in this room. There's some of you that are just happy with your outcomes, and please, if you're happy with where you're at in your health, Consider me a friendly neighbor. Call me anytime. If you have questions, let me know. But if you're not happy with your outcomes, come into my office. I want you to experience the difference of working with a healthcare professional that is focused on your health and wellness and not just your sickness and disease. Come into the office. We'll put you through a comprehensive evaluation that includes a functional test of the nerve system where I plug you into the computer, x-rays if we need them. We're going to talk about what you want to get back to doing. What is holding you back from doing what you want to do and being who you want to be, right? We'll do our examination and we'll see if we can help you. If we can help you, I will let you know. Offer's good for anyone that needs this, your friends, your family, all right? But, of course, there's always a catch. The time is now, right? So for those of you that want that help, I'm here to help you. Schedule some time with Audrey. The cost of that visit's only $50. Usually it's well over $200 when we add the x-rays and the functional tests and all those other things that we do. But if you schedule today, it's only $50. See Audrey. No, I don't have business cards. I never take them with me when I speak because that's just a procrastination card, right? A lot of times, doc, that was great information. Can I take your card and I'll never call you, right? So if you're ready, see Audrey. If you're not, that's okay too. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. I know you guys got to get out of here. I said 45 minutes. I think I beat it by 6 minutes.